the government has decided to scrap with immediate effect the approved permit requirement to import foodstuffs to ensure a sufficient supply of food in the country, according to a Bernama report. The decision was reached at the cabinet meeting chaired today by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. He said this decision will enable all parties to import any food items and that details will be announced later by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries. The PM said he had also directed the ministry to prepare short and long-term plans to avoid a food crisis in the country and take immediate measures to stem the rising cost of living. Putrajaya's announcement comes amid concerns that Malaysia would be in for a serious food crisis if issues such as inflation, higher crude oil prices, extreme weather conditions, the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine conflict persisted. Malaysia has been spending over 50 billion ringgit per year on importing basic foodstuff such as rice, beef, lamb and cabbage. On news of a chicken farming industry cartel purportedly planning to close their farms this weekend in protest against the delay of the subsidy payment of 60 cents on the price of poultry, the Prime Minister said a certain procedure had reportedly caused the delay and that the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries has been asked to speed up the payment. Country Heights Holdings says it is unaware of any reason for the sudden plunge in its share price in response to an unusual market activity query by Bursa Malaysia today. The counter opened 1 cent higher to RM1.20 at the opening bell, but then inexplicably nosedived to hit limit down at 83.5 cent for a plunge of 35.5 cent or 29.83%. At the time of writing, it remains unclear what prompted the sell down. At 83.5 cent, the company is valued at 247.99 million ringgit. In a Bursa filing, Country Heights said its board can confirm that it is not aware of any corporate developments relating to its business and affairs that have not been previously announced that may account for the trading activity. It is also not aware of any rumour or report concerning the group, nor any possible explanation to account for the trading activity. It added that it is in compliance with Bursa Securities listing requirements on immediate disclosure obligations. Months after the financial collapse of Genting Hong Kong, Genting tycoon Tan Sri Lim Kok Teh is set to launch a new cruise line in Singapore next month. Resorts World Cruises will make its global debut on June 15th and operate with the 18-deck 150,695 gross ton Genting Dream, which will provide cruises to nowhere from Singapore. The ship used to be operated by Genting Hong Kong-owned Dream Cruises and can accommodate 3,352 passengers. Previously disposed of after the liquidation of Dream Cruises, the vessel is being leased from 4 Chinese banks. In a statement today, Lim said Resorts World Cruises is committed to making Singapore the leading cruise hub in Asia. A report by the Straits Times said Resorts World Cruises is rehiring about 1,600 employees for its new cruise business and has rehired about 70 former employees from the sales and marketing and hotel operations of Genting Hong Kong. It added that Resorts World Cruises will offer complimentary cruise credits of the equivalent value for all paid passengers affected by World Dream's cruise cancellations in Singapore between March 2nd and August 31st, 2022. Dream Cruises operated 3 ships: Genting Dream, Explorer Dream and World Dream. One MDB former chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Baki Saleh told the Kuala Lumpur High Court today that he decided to only send a text message to Datuk Sri Najib Razak to inform the former Prime Minister of his resignation from the board in 2009, as he suspected the Pekan MP had personal interest in a sham $1 billion investment that the government-owned company had committed to. Testifying at the 1MDB Tenor trial, BAKKE said that he had thought better of meeting Najib in person to tell him of his resignation and the reasons for his departure. Under cross-examination, BAKKE said he was not comfortable to see Najib in person or speak with him because he suspected Najib was part of the scheme of things in 1MDB. Previously, BAKKE said he had wanted to resign because of the way 1MDB management had done the deal to remit $700 million to Goodstar, a company linked to fugitive businessman Loh Teck Joe, instead of the joint venture company set up between the state-owned fund and PetroSaudi International. BAKKE, along with board member Tan Sri Azlan Muhammad Zainul, resigned in protest over the remittance of the funds. BAKKE left on October 19, 2009 and Azlan on January 11, 2010. Retail Group Malaysia, or RGM MD Tan Hai Shin, says there is no direct answer on the impact of the ringgit weakening against the US dollar because the current inflation scenario is unique at a time when rising consumer prices are due to the increase in raw material import and transportation costs. Fielding questions from the press at RGM's briefing today, he said the problem of inflation is not unique to Malaysia and lamented that prices no longer go up because of demand but because of the increase in various costs. Elaborating on RGM's view that the current rise in consumer prices is not demand-led, he said the group does not perceive the current rise in the country's retail sales as due to revenge spending post-pandemic because consumers are merely returning to their normal spending patterns. According to him, RGM defines the phrase revenge spending as buying everything you have not bought in the past. For example, he said in the food and beverage line, eating has its capacity and a consumer cannot make up for the times they have previously missed out on dining out. Similarly, for the retail side, a customer who has missed purchasing gifts for the past 2 Christmases would not necessarily now buy at once 3 gifts per recipient.